Mark Hanrahan. Whitney is off this evening. Neil has served as race director since 2019. KREM 2's Tim Pham spoke with John about what led to the sudden departure.
I spoke with John Neal over the phone this afternoon. He declined an interview, but tells me Bloomsday told him earlier this week that he would no longer continue as the race director after nearly 20 years with the organization. In 2018, we learned Bloomsday founder Don Cardong would retire after the race in 2019. He announced John Neal would take over the beloved Spokane tradition. Neal started as an intern back in 1995 and worked his way up to board president until his promotion to the top job.
We've taken the race very seriously and made sure that it shined the way that it should to honor Don Cardong.
For more than 45 years, the race became an annual tradition in the Inland Northwest. At its height in the 90s, more than 60,000 people registered for the race. It held steady at about 45,000 participants until 2019, when 38,000 people registered. Then, in Neal's first year on the job, the pandemic hit, forcing the race to go virtual, a way to keep the spirit of the race alive. But participation hit a record low since the early 80s. 21,000 people participated, and numbers since have struggled to bounce back. Bloomsday did not get into the specifics of the split. The Lilac Bloomsday Association president, Dory Whitford, said in a statement, "We have been busy preparing for Bloomsday 2023. John Neal has chosen to step away from our organization. Bloomsday and its affiliated events have become a big job. Because of this opportunity, we will now also be looking at ways to possibly restructure some of our jobs." John Neal declined a TV interview, but said in a statement, "It is with great sadness that I have stepped away from Bloomsday." He went on to explain, "I was informed very recently that I would not continue in the role of Bloomsday race director, but instead fill some other unspecified job with fewer responsibilities." This unexpected news, accompanied by the resignation of 2 key board members, including our chief legal counsel, were significant factors leading to my departure this past Tuesday morning. John tells me at this time he's not sure what's next for him. We are waiting to hear back from the Lilac Bloomsday Association about Neal's claims about the resignation of other board members and who will lead Bloomsday in 2023. In the studio, I'm Tim Pham, KREM 2 News.
And new this afternoon, Dory Whitford responds to Neal's claims about board resignation. She said, quote, "Bloomsday has a policy not to discuss employment issues. Therefore, I have no further comment than the email update I sent last night," unquote. In our other top stories tonight, we are tracking a former Spokane police officer. Nathan Nash will spend 14 years to life in prison after being convicted of rape. His sentencing happened this morning. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley had the only camera in the courtroom and shares what happened.
The judge said he decided to give Nathan Nash the high end of the sentencing range, partly because he used his position of authority and trust as a police officer to take advantage of the 2 victims. In court, one of the victims read her impact statement to the judge. She told me she agreed to being filmed on camera because this was a step that she wanted to take in moving forward.
In August, a jury found former Spokane police officer Nathan Nash guilty of 2nd and 3rd degree rape involving 2 women. He committed the crimes while on duty. In his sentencing, Nash stood before the judge maintaining his innocence.
"My wife and 2 children are my whole world, and I would never do anything to jeopardize my ability to come home to them every day."
One of the women Nash took advantage of told the judge how she looks back on that day.
"I found solace in Mr. Nash helping me in such a dire time of need when I felt like I had no one. And now to say that or even think that's how I felt towards you is absolute poison in my mouth."
Normally, KREM 2 does not identify victims of sexual assault. But today, Tatiana agreed to be filmed and publish her name because she told me it was a way for her to begin to move forward.
"There's a part of me that I won't be able to get back because you stole it from me. But starting today, right now, I am rising out of the ashes and becoming a survivor and taking back my life."
Nash does plan to file an appeal on this case, and he has 30 days to do so. Meantime, he is expected back in court for the official misconduct charge associated with this case. Trial is expected to start in December. Reporting from the Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Tonight, law enforcement is investigating after Spokane County deputies shot and killed a suspect overnight. According to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, a man reported that an armed suspect pointed a pistol at his head and threatened to kill him. According to the victim, the suspect fired a round but did not hit him. The suspect then drove away and ended up in Stevens County. Neighbors reported the suspect firing shots in a Stevens County neighborhood and trying to get away from law enforcement during a dangerous standoff.
A little bit of shock. Typically, we don't really have standoffs and SWAT teams out in our area, so it was just a whole different experience.
Drone footage found the suspect hiding in a wooded area. Then at around 10 p.m., 2 SWAT team members shot the armed suspect. He was pronounced dead at the scene. 2 people have been arrested for the murder of an 18-year-old from Wenatchee. On Monday, 19-year-old Markel Ford was arrested in connection with the death of Yair Flores, who was killed back in August. The next day, another suspect was arrested in Walla Walla, 27-year-old Javier Valdez from East Wenatchee. Both men are facing charges of first-degree murder and burglary. Well, just into our newsroom, Stadium Way and Grimes Way in Pullman has flooded this afternoon. Washington State University police say the flood was caused by a water main break. Grimes Way is currently closed from Lincoln to Stadium Way. According to WSU Pullman on Twitter, the crews are working on getting that cleaned up as we speak. Police do not have an estimate on when the roads will be reopened. All right, let's talk weather because we are quickly approaching a historically warm October. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo is tracking when we could cross that threshold. Jeremy?
Mark, it looks like with temperatures staying as warm as they will for at least the next week, we're going to get there before things take a drastic shift. I've got faith in that drastic shift. I'll tell you why coming up in the full forecast. But for now, let's just talk temps because it is beautiful outside. 72 degrees right now here in Spokane. All in all, not a bad afternoon. There's our ridge of high pressure. Still doing ridge of high pressure things. You're going, what does that mean? Well, basically, with that ridge going overhead, we get clockwise circulation and sinking air. Sinking air causes cloud formation, and it keeps everything quite nice, unless you have a wildfire burning near you. And that's where we do see that unhealthy air over in the foothills of the Cascades. Down to our south, moderate air quality just south of Spokane, down in Pullman it looks like, but for the most part, things pretty mild. Temperatures fall back into the 40s overnight, a little bit warmer than this morning, and by tomorrow afternoon, a little bit warmer than this afternoon. Looks like we're shooting for the mid-70s, pretty widespread before we head into an absolutely perfect weekend.
That sounds pretty perfect. Jeremy, thank you very much. All right, happening right now, environmental justice and human rights activist Julian Agwan is giving an alumni lecture at Gonzaga. Agwan's work features environmental justice and indigenous rights issues. He's also worked to shed light on the struggles of indigenous communities and expose threats to human rights issues all around the country. Right now, he is sharing reflections and excerpts from his recent book. His lecture is free to the public. All right, still to come on KREM 2 News First Step Forward this afternoon. Tonight, we are digging deeper into potential fraud by a former employee of the Guardians Foundation. From when the fraud was discovered to the start of the police investigation. More on that after the break.